Hi everyone, welcome. Good afternoon, and of course, happy Independence Day. I would just like to welcome you everybody for today's event. I want to see your names in the chat, so I'm hoping that you could use our live chat for today to say hi or hello to everyone. Again, happy Independence Day to everyone, and we would like to thank you for spending your Independence Day with us for today's event. So thank you so much. All right, so let's. I still don't see a couple of chats on our live chat. So feel free to utilize that for any questions that you might have today, or any shout outs that you would like to, um, that you would just like to be mentioned within our stream. All right, so let's begin. Without further ado, let's begin. Ulap.org provides a technology neutral, trusted hub for learning, sharing, and creating innovation using cloud technologies. So, in this event, we will be introducing cloud computing in a nutshell, followed by the introduction of different cloud technologies and platforms. As you can see, we've gathered a very distinguished roster of speakers, and we hope that you can learn a thing or two from them. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is ulap.org's introduction to cloud computing and cross cloud events. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. My name is Kaloy, and I'll be your host for today's event. Just a couple of introductions. I am a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Manila. Shout out to all PNs out there. Currently associated with Oracle NetSuite as a senior consultant. I am also an ulap.org volunteer, so I can see a couple of volunteers out there. Shout out to the volunteers. And also one of the community event lead for today's event. I will be with you all throughout the day. So with me behind the camera in our stream for today are my co-community event lead, shout out to Irajin Harabe, and of course, the founders of ulap.org, Filipino Women in Tech, Michi Taberao and Marilag Di Matulak. Of course, I would like to thank Michi and Marilag for giving me the opportunity to host today's event. So thank you so much for that. If ever we have any foreign audience with us today, please note that there will be times that we will be speaking in the vernacular to better express ourselves. All right, so let's move forward. Of course, first and foremost, you would like to thank our community partners. You would like to thank our community partners, Alibaba Cloud, an ulap.org premium sponsor, AWS, Microsoft, and GDG Philippines. So thank you so much on behalf of the ulap.org community. Next up, today is only a part of ulap.org's Community Day, so please do watch out for the details of the following upcoming events. So we have a couple for July, August, and September. So watch out for those. Watch out for those upcoming events. All right, so we would also like to remind everyone that the scholarship application deadline for the Cloud Career Kickstarter Scholarship Program has been extended. You can submit your application until 12 p.m. Philippine time on June 30, 2021. So if any of you guys would like to apply for the scholarship, please do check out how on the different platforms, social media platforms that we have. So for those of you who just joined us and it's actually asking what ULAP is, the Underrepresented Youth Learning Assistance Program, or ULAP.org, is a for-purpose, non-stock, non-profit organization providing scholarships, pro bono professional training, and community events. So join us in building an inclusive tech community with equal opportunity for all. Follow us on all of our social media platforms: Facebook at ulap.org, LinkedIn /ulap-org, Twitter at ulap_org, Instagram ulap_org, and YouTube ulap.org. For inquiries, please email us through info@ulap.org. Motivate, prepare, and guide. All right. So I see a couple of I see a couple of shout outs already. So we have Marilag, Alaika, Ryan, Joanna, John Mark. So hi everyone. So please do feel free to utilize our live chat for your shout outs, questions, and anything that you would like to say out there during this event. So thank you so much for being with us today. All right, so let's begin. Please welcome our first two speakers for today to provide us an introduction to cloud computing. First up, she is a software engineer recently engaged in developing cloud native apps. She works with startups and helps them quickly launch their ideas to the online audience by setting up infrastructure and development pipelines on the cloud. When she is not coding, she's listening to audiobooks on Audible or learning new languages. Please welcome Miss Krizza Nicole.
To the clown. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
All right. Hi, Krizza. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm so sorry if I'm a bit late in replying. It's raining heavily right now. I was so worried that I might not be able to make it for this event. Oh no. Hello? Hello? I don't think he's still here. There might be technical difficulties.
Hi, Krizza. We can hear you clearly.
Okay, that's
Thanks.
good.
Thanks for joining. Yes, everything is fine with your connectivity. So yeah, let us know what is the introduction of cloud computing, right? Because everyone is very curious. What is cloud computing? Why is it out there? Why people, hire a lot of people with cloud skills? So we're very excited to for you to get us started with this.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And I think I still have my partner though that might be introduced later or just now.
Yes. Yeah. Feel free to start, Krisa.
Okay, then. So if that's the case, I'll go ahead and get started. I don't know if you can see my screen. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then. So, for those new to the cloud, this would be a very easy introduction to cloud computing. We don't want to shock you and give you like a brain dump of what cloud computing is. So we just want to ease you into it. Like Kaloy mentioned earlier, I'm a software developer for a startup based in the UK, and I'm also AWS certified. For our topic today, Introduction to Cloud Computing, there's actually two of us that will be presenting this one. The next one is Frederick, and he'll take the stage later on. But this is our objective for this presentation. So first we will talk about traditional IT, and then we'll talk about how cloud computing comes into play and how it solves the issues that you experience when you have traditional IT, which is usually called on-premise or on-prem. And then later on, Fred will talk about cloud computing deployment models and also the service model. So, okay, let's get started. So, businesses in this day and age are like startups. They are actually very lucky because of the cloud. Because instead of like building
Yes, I think we have some few issues for Krisa. Yes. One of our speakers for today is also Fred Peraman, together with Krizza. So I'm just gonna quickly introduce him. So Fred is one of our developers that is working in Dewise and our resident volunteer in ulap.org. He's been working as a full stack application developer for 7 years and has been working a lot with Microsoft technologies. So I'm very, very happy to introduce him. And together with Krisa, he's going to introduce the cloud computing in a nutshell before we gave you a lot of introduction from different cloud computing providers such as Alibaba, AWS, Google Cloud, and Amazon. Hi, Fred. Let's gonna put Fred in the call. I think you're muted.
I'm sorry. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Fred. It's very nice to
Hi,
see you
Mitzi.
again. So I think we have lost Kriza due to some technical difficulties. So I think we're
Yeah.
just gonna catch up and introduce again the topic. We're very happy to have you here.
Yep. Yeah, looks like the cloud isn't on our side today. But uh Chris is supposed to tackle the first part of our introduction to cloud computing. What I'm gonna share with you is
Sure.
the deployment model and the service model part, which is the second part of this introduction.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I? Okay. Do you see my screen now? Okay. Thanks. Hello. Uh, First of all, I would like to greet everyone, our viewers for today. I am Fred. I am a volunteer for ulap.org, and I am currently working as a full stack application developer, as Mitch mentioned earlier. Today, I will give you an overview about the cloud deployment and service models. Basically, what are they, and their differences, as well as their pros and cons. And then ultimately, by the end of this presentation, it can also give you hindsight on what to use for your future projects. So, what really is a deployment model? By definition, the deployment model is a specific configuration of environment parameters such as the accessibility and proprietorship of the deployment infrastructure and storage size. It varies depending on who controls the infrastructure and where it's located. There are four most popular types for this kind of deployment model: uh, public, private, community, and hybrid. Uh, there are also multi-clouds and polyclouds, which are other types of deployment model, but we won't be covering those in this presentation. So, moving on to public cloud. Public cloud, as its name implies, is available to the general public. The infrastructure and the data that are created is stored on third-party servers by service providers like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, IBM, and so on and so forth. This is also the most common choice by businesses with low privacy concerns. For one, because its major advantage is that it's hassle-free. It helps to know that someone does the extensive necessary maintenance for you and your team. And then it also gives you high scalability. It extends the capacity whenever business requirement increases. It also reduces your cost. You only pay for what you use, much like how we pay for our electric, water, and internet bills at home. It also gives you 24/7 constant availability. But then it also has a major advantage, and it would be the security concerns. It would be its security concerns because it deprives the users of knowing where their data are stored and who has access to it. Also, I mentioned a while ago that it ensures 24/7 constant availability, but it doesn't mean also that it is not prone to failures. It also compromise reliability, because if something happens on the service provider side, then you have to wait for them to fix it themselves. Also, it's standardized. It could sound ironic at first, because when we say standard, it's a good thing. But in here, if it's too standardized, it will fail to satisfy more complex requirements for your business. Okay, another one would be the private cloud. Private cloud, in technical perspective, is has little to no difference to public cloud. But if there's one specific company only owns it, and thus it's called the internal or corporate model. Well, one major advantage of this type of deployment model is that it's highly secured. Only authorized persons can access your resources because you manage it. It gives you bespoke and flexible development. It allows your business more room for infrastructure customization. But then you get it for much expensive price. It's costly. It will give you considerable expense on hardware, software, and staff training, and thus it isn't recommended for small companies or startups. Another would be the community cloud. Community cloud resembles the private cloud model, other than the set of users. So in community cloud, several organizations with similar background shares the infrastructure and related resources. One major advantage of this one is that it reduces your cost. It's relatively cheaper from private model, as the expenses are shouldered within the organization that uses the community cloud. It also eases your collaboration and data sharing with your partners, and then it could be beneficial for you in some cases. But then it gives you a consequence that the bandwidth and the storage are shared, and it could affect it could affect application performances at some point. Also, this is the least popular among these four types of deployment model, because it isn't commonly used yet. Then lastly, we have the hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is a combination of public, private, and community clouds best features. It focuses on the balancing of the load by locating mission critical workloads on secure private clouds and deploying less sensitive ones to the public one. It also reduces your costs without compromising guards and controls over important assets. The major advantage of this is that it gives you a reasonable price. It gives you the enhanced scalability and flexibility for your business needs, and it gives you improved security too. Um, but but then it's limited to teams with hybrid types of data, because it only makes sense to use this deployment model if companies can split up their data into mission critical and sensitive ones. And so, having so those characteristics of each deployment model, we can now talk about the service model. Service model, as I would define, it is the answer to the question how and what cloud resources you don't and do want to manage yourself. If you've have ever heard of cloud computing before, then these terms SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS does also ring the bell. It sounds weird at first, but confuse yourself no more. Their names are just abbreviations of what type of service they offer. And to dig a little bit deeper, let's see the image on the next slide. The blue boxes are the ones that are being managed by your team, while the gray ones are what's being handled by the service providers. Now, on the leftmost side of the image is the traditional IT, or what we call the on-premises setup. In this type, most of the time, the resources needed to run the business resides on where the business operates as well. It means that the management of these same resources is also being taken care of your physical team. And now that's where these cloud computing service models comes in. First, we have the IaaS, or the infrastructure as a service. This service model would be a good alternative to on-premise setup, such that the businesses can avoid investing in expensive on-site resources. It also high gives you high flexibility and high scalability. It's cost effective, very cost effective. It's suitable and beneficial to businesses of all shapes and sizes, as it allows complete control over the infrastructure. And as you may have noticed, the differences of in the image, half of the resources needed to run a business is now managed by the service providers. The third column would be the PaaS, or the platform as a service. In this type of service model, the vendor provides the hardware and software tools over the internet. It's also commonly used by developers like me. It's scalable. It's built on virtualization technology. It's easy to run without extensive admin knowledge, and that's the best feature for this one. I really like this setup. And then lastly, we have this SaaS, software as a service. In software as a service, this type of service model is as accessible in any device at any time over the internet. We could say that this is a client-facing software. The resources of this type of model are completely managed by the service providers, and this is often offered with subscription fees like Spotify, Netflix, and even your mail providers. And yeah, that's it. That's a wrap for the cloud computing introduction. Hope you guys have learned something from what we talk about. And for questions, you may PM us or just directly ask Google for answers. On to you, Mitch, Kaloy.
Actually, hi, Fred. This is Krizza here.
Ah, okay,
So,
you're back.
Yes. So
yeah.
yes, Krizza is already with us. Seems like the cloud is not agreeing with us both. Krizza.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
yeah.
All right. Go ahead. I'll give the
Okay.
floor to you.
All right. So sorry. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I'll just rush into the remaining things that we missed when I like blacked out there a few moments ago. Thank you so much, Fred, for taking over and talking about the deployment models. Um, Going back though, since he's already carefully and properly explained the deployment model and service model, I just want to backtrack to like what traditional IT is and the problems and issues that you might encounter. So let's say, for example, I have here an image of a company, and the arrows depict that this company wants to scale up. Let's pretend it's a software agency and business is doing good, and they also just want to serve more customers. So there are countless blockers that could affect a company when it's trying to grow. So the first blocker that I'm going to talk about is scalability. Now, with scalability, it comes with setting up your own data center. And with setting up your own data center, you usually have to pull out or like shell out a huge upfront cost in order to set up the warehouse, buy the servers, and stack them together. And oftentimes, when for example, you're trying to scale up, and what happens is that business is not actually like booming as well as you thought, and you'd bought all of these servers, and now they're underutilized and they're idle. So you're paying for them even if you're not using them. And the thing is, scaling down. Scaling down is going to be a bit of a problem. Now that's for scalability. The next thing we have as a blocker is server storage. So once you have an on-premise, so that's what you call a data center in your area, on-premises, or sometimes it's shortened to on-prem. It needs, I mentioned earlier that you have warehouses to store your servers. So for example, let's imagine that I want to build my own on-prem data center here in the Philippines. And as you as you can tell earlier, with the difficulties that we've had because of natural calamities, like Philippines is a hub for typhoons, so it's gonna be a bit difficult for me to like store my warehouse or store my servers here, because apart from the typhoons, it may lead to blackouts. So I might have to invest money into getting generators, and that's going to cost money, a lot of money. And if it's not raining, if it's not constantly raining, then it's extremely hot. So you would need to pay for air conditioners, and most likely the air conditioner bill is going to bankrupt me before I even get to market my own product. So that is the issue with server storage. And then the next blocker that we have is data security. So with data security, it's a bit difficult since you have to hire like trusted IT personnel to make the underlying data in your server secure. But you also need to hire like physical security guards, security personnel to watch over the location of your data warehouses, make sure there's no theft. And following the data security blocker is data loss. So in a traditional IT setup, especially if you're starting up and you don't have a lot of resources to make a lot of data centers in different areas of the world, different regions of the world, you're most likely going to have only one data center in one location. And if that data center is here in the Philippines and there's a storm, there might be like earthquakes, because recently there have been earthquakes. And in the occasion that there's like a data loss incident, it's going to be very difficult for you to recover the data that you've lost. And uh, together with the huge expenses of you setting up that data center, now you have to pay a lot more to like recover that data that you've lost during the incident. And then finally, you have maintenance. So in a traditional IT setup, you it together with the security personnel, the physical people, the guards, and then the IT security personnel that takes care of handling security for your data. You also have to hire IT people that will manage hardware maintenance and then software maintenance as well, which just all boils down to a lot of costs. It's like cost on cost on cost on top of cost. So this is where cloud computing comes in. Um, so what is cloud computing? I'm just gonna read through this. I know everyone hates it when someone does that, but it's an on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage and computing power via remote servers hosted on the internet. So you see, or I've mentioned before, the blockers that could prevent a flourishing company from growing. And you could also see the challenges that they can face at the peak of that growth. So we can leverage the benefits of cloud computing. The first benefit is that it has less capital expense, which means you have less capital to shell out. Basically, that's what it is. Cloud computing is built upon the idea of pay as you go, meaning like what Fred mentioned earlier, it's similar to our electricity bill, our water bill, where you just need to pay for the amount of, well, in cloud, for the amount of compute resource that you consume. And then the next benefit of the cloud is economies of scale. Now, how does the cloud make it so that we don't have to shell out a lot of money in the first place? So how does it does that? So these cloud providers, the one that Fred mentioned, we have AWS. For the speakers we have today, we have someone from AWS, we have Alibaba, there's also Microsoft, there's also Google. The way that we can pay less for the compute resources is the economies of scale, meaning these cloud providers have a lot of users. They have hundreds of thousands of users and aggregated in that cloud service. And we will be sharing the cost among all of the customers. So that's the reason why we can buy or like rent these servers so cheaply. And then the next one we have is on-demand capacity. Now we can just, in the example I shared earlier with traditional IT, there's usually the case where you get high bursts of traffic and then you think that you would need more servers, right? But what happens, it just happens occasionally or rarely, and then it goes back to a stable amount of traffic. So you just have extra servers lying there, underutilized, but it's good for high bursts of traffic, but when you have stable traffic, it's just you're throwing money out in the air. So what happens is we have on-demand capacity in the cloud, which eliminates the unpredictability of having server capacity, right? So you just need to get the required capacity you want on demand and also just get rid of it as easily. So this could lead to greater savings, which was one of the big issues with traditional IT. The next thing is we have is speed. The one I mentioned earlier with on-demand capacity. You can just get the required capacity that you need and get rid of it just as easily, and you can do it very fast in just a few clicks. So that is one of the benefits of the cloud. Sorry that I'm going so fast. I'm conscious of time, and we do have amazing speakers coming up. And then the next one we have is one benefit of the cloud is invest in your product. In the previous traditional IT setup, you usually invest a lot of your resources to setting up data centers, hiring security personnel, hiring IT personnel for maintenance. This time, you can invest that money into creating your product or make improving it into helping your customers and then meeting their customers' needs. So a lot of your investments just go to that part of your business, and then you can reach higher, greater peaks in your business. And then finally, we can go global in minutes with cloud computing. So using the cloud means taking advantage of the international locations of their data centers. And you can deploy your app in many different regions across the globe. So this can provide lower latency for users that you have, for international users that you have, as opposed to like having your app just deployed to the Philippines. That's probably very good for your Filipino customers, but it's probably not as good for your international customers. There's going to be a lot of loading times and all of that. So in summary, what cloud computing is just a way for you to save costs on IT infrastructure. And the main difference with cloud computing and traditional IT is with traditional data centers or on-premise data centers, you usually manage your own servers, you hire your own IT people, and then you pay for the warehouses and the real estate, and you take all the risk. But with cloud computing, someone manages the server, someone else manages the server, someone else hires the people, someone else takes care of disaster recovery and all of that good stuff. So I'm so sorry that I just sped through this, but that's about it. And yeah, since Fred has already talked about um, the deployment models, which is public, private, we have hybrid, we have community, and then also the service models, the PaaS, IaaS, and all of that. I think that about sums it up for our presentation for intro on the cloud. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Krizza. Very, very informative presentation from both Fred and Krizza. Thank you so much for spending your Independence Day with us today. Thank you so much. And I think you have a couple of shout outs from the live chat. So you might want to say hi to them. If ever you have any questions, I guess they can ask you through the live chat.
Hi to the live chat.
So
Shout
just guys, just feel free to leave your comments there. Thank you so much again, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Miss Krizza Nicole and Mr. Frederick Angelo Peraman.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you.
you.
All right. So moving on. Thank you so much again to our previous speakers. But we will be moving forward. We will now be moving forward to the introduction to Amazon Web Services or AWS. Our next speaker is a software engineer at heart with about 15 years of professional experience and have led successful global software development teams. He does photography and play a mean game of Dota 2 on downtimes, and his productivity music is 90s alternative indie J-rock or select K-pop. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Richard Neil Ilagan. All right. Hi, Sir Richard.
Hi, thank you for the warm welcome.
Hi. Hi, thank you so much for being with us today. Sir Richard's productivity music is 90s alternative indie J rock or
Oh
select
no.
K-pop. So, guys, please do
Yeah.
let us know what's your
I'd
productivity
love to hear
music
your
through the live
recommendations
chat.
too. Yes, please.
All right, we will be looking forward to that on the live chat. But for now, I'll be giving the floor to Sir Richard.
Sure. Okay. Excellent. So happy to be here, everyone. Good afternoon. So my name is Richard Nililagan. Most people call me Carding. I'm a prototyping engineer for the ASEAN region here in Amazon Web Services. So as you might have guessed, I make, build, and design prototypes for some of our customers here in AWS. So I don't just talk the talk. I actually build stuff using AWS services. So if you've got some questions, burning questions, just put them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them if we have some time later. So what we're going to be doing today, I want to spend a bit of your time just going through a bit of an introduction with what the cloud is. Krizza and Fred's done an amazing job introducing that, but also show you a bit of an introduction of what AWS can do for you in terms of the AWS cloud. And if we have some time later, I'd like to spend some time showing you some of the stuff I've actually built to give you an idea, a better idea of what you can actually build on AWS, right? So cloud computing, we've got a good discussion going on just a few minutes ago. If you ask me, the one of the most important benefits of the cloud, of working with the cloud, is that part on demand delivery and the pay-as-you-go pricing that Chris just highlighted so well just earlier. Because when you work in IT for a good amount of time, you realize that very little, there's very little that just needs to be running all the time. There's very little that needs to be running 24/7. And if they do need to run 24/7, it's very rare that it's going to be running at 100% capacity all the time, right? So if you're working with a cloud, that makes it possible for you to create a server, get in there, get your work done, get out of there, turn it off, and then you're essentially just costed for that amount of time that you were using it. So if you were using it for like say 5 minutes, then 5 minutes it is. You're essentially just costed for just that 5 minutes, right? And then you can go about your day. This allows you to do stuff like get the most powerful computer out there and then do some amazing, smart, intelligent stuff, get out of there, and then, save a lot on cost. You probably know all about this because you already have a computer right there with you. You already have a laptop right there with you, right? It's not on all the time, right? I hope so. And even if it is, you're not using it at full capacity either, right? Sometimes you're just typing up a document, sometimes you're just watching a video, and so on and so forth, right? So you know what I'm saying. Um, if you actually think about it, if you're using a machine for just during the hours that you're working, let's say Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. in the evening, right? All in all, you're only using that machine for like 35% of the time, right? So what's happening in that 65, 70%, right? Just dead air. So that's something that enables a lot of different things on the cloud because it allows you to do stuff like that. Just like Chris has said, it allows you to think of cloud just a lot like how you treat electricity, household utilities, your water, something like that, right? Just on kind of a utility kind of based cost. Now, when you get started on working with a cloud, there's a lot of different cloud providers. There's a lot of different cloud platforms. Some of the more, I guess, prominent ones are going to be joining us in this event as well. In the terms of Amazon Web Services or AWS, AWS is the world's most comprehensive and most broadly adopted cloud platform. So when you create an AWS account, and anybody can create an AWS account, just get on AWS at Amazon.com and just create an account. Once you create an account, instantaneously you gain access to more than 200 fully featured services. You get access to more than 25 regions and so on and so forth. Just right there, you can deploy anywhere globally where AWS is. You can use any of the services AWS is providing right away. Now, um, in terms of the global infrastructure of AWS, the way we think about regions or our infrastructure at least, right? AWS regions are essentially just a place. So we kind of, when we say that it's the AWS Singapore region, there's not a lot of meaning to that aside from the fact that it's right there on Singapore. The way we've structured our infrastructure is that regions are made up of availability zones, and then availability zones are made up of multiple buildings, and these buildings are made up of multiple data centers, and then these data centers, you have your servers and racks, right? So it's kind of, a nested construct. So all in all, within AWS, we have 25 available regions for you to use right now. We've announced 7 more incoming for some of places like India, Indonesia, Switzerland, and so on. Then all across that whole infrastructure, we've got 81 availability zones. We have around 14 or 15 more coming soon, and so on and so forth. Aside from those regions, we have what we call global points of presences. So there's more than 200 of those as well. And then we have a few innovative pieces of infrastructure as well called local zones, wavelength zones, and all of that. So all in all, we have a huge footprint in terms of our infrastructure. And this is really where the economies of scale that Krizza and Fred were talking about earlier as well come into play. So the way I like to think that works, right? So imagine if you were out shopping, like say you want to buy something like, I don't know, toothpaste, for example. It's always cheaper if you buy toothpaste in bulk, right? So if you buy toothpaste in those packs of 10 or 20, that's going to be significantly cheaper than if you buy like 20 separate one-piece toothpaste boxes, right? Same thing here. So because we have a very huge footprint in terms of infrastructure, we have so many regions, we have so many availability zones, we have so many data centers, and so on and so forth, we're able to find new and innovative ways to save on cost. And those savings in cost, we roll over to our customers in the form of price reductions. So ever since AWS launched in 2006, we've had around 107 different significant price reductions across our services. I actually remember this because when I started working with AWS around 3 years ago, whenever I give this number, I'd say 67 or something like that, if I remember correctly, 67, 70. And in the span of 3 years, it's now 107. So this is something that is continuously happening. We'll never stop finding new price reductions because that's just part of the the company philosophy of making sure that you are paying as low as you should be for the services that you use on AWS, right? So that's part and parcel of it. Finally, you might be interested to know that not only are we committing, not only are we serious about our sustainability efforts, but we also influence other companies to do sustainability as well. So Amazon, together with this group called Global Optimism, we created this group called the Climate Pledge that commits not only to meet the Paris Agreement in 2050, in the year 2050, of net zero carbon emissions, but to do that 10 years earlier in 2040, aside from a number of different other milestones. And not only are we committing ourselves to doing that, we're also committing ourselves to influencing others to join us in doing that. So that's what the Climate Pledge is. Last time I checked, the Climate Pledge had more than 100 companies as a member. So you can check the progress of the Climate Pledge anytime. The link's right there, down there. So if you want to check what's happening with the Climate Pledge and who are the companies behind it, feel free to do that after the event if you'd like. So all of that is just part and parcel of number of reasons why we believe that millions of users globally trust AWS in running the significant and critical parts of their system. And this is really what I mean when I say that AWS is the most broadly adopted cloud platform, because not only do we have customers from every aspect of business, enterprises, startups, government agencies, NGOs, and so on and so forth. You name a vertical, will have some companies behind it. So manufacturing, retail, sports, fashion, healthcare, and so on and so forth. You name a vertical, will have companies that trust AWS do that. And that's not just internationally. We also have a very significant footprint just locally. So you'll see the same picture. Enterprises, startups, NGOs, government agencies on top of AWS, they trust running their significant and critical systems on AWS. And this family of companies is just continuously growing. I've seen it. I've seen it grow the last few years that I've been working with AWS myself. So, and I, the future definitely is looking very positive in that regard. So every time I start talking about cloud, especially for people who are just starting with the cloud, right? One of the how should I say this? One of the more common questions I get is like, wait, 200 services, really? So on the cloud, you can create virtual machines. Maybe you can create databases. You can probably store your files. So that's three services right there. What are the other 197? Right? So for people starting out with the cloud, we find that a lot of them think that the cloud is really for starting up servers, hosting your websites, your blog, maybe starting up a WordPress, and so on and so forth. And that's not wrong, right? But that's not completely right either. If you notice earlier when I was saying what the cloud was, well, the definition I gave, I didn't say that it's the on-demand delivery of servers, right? The cloud is more than just servers. The cloud is the on-demand delivery of IT resources. The way I like to think of it is the cloud brings technology, makes technology more available to everyone. So that's not just service, that's not just databases, that's not just file storage, and so on and so forth, right? So if you can think of a technology field, there's bound to be a service that handles that, at least on AWS. So for example, if you were a machine learning specialist, you're an AI engineer, you're starting out with AI and ML, you're building models. One of the services you could probably will want to use on AWS is called Amazon SageMaker. And Amazon SageMaker is the most complete end-to-end service for machine learning. You can get in there, bring your data sets in, analyze your data sets, explore your data sets, train your models, test your models, deploy your models, use your models, and so on and so forth. So it has a lot of facets that you will find very useful if you're doing AI ML. But how about if you were, oops, how about if you were a robotics developer? So if you're creating the Roombas or a lot of smart devices, for example, it's very challenging to build robots in the sense that it takes a lot of investment to create the actual physical robot. So AWS RoboMaker allows you to simulate your robots and simulate the environments where your robots will run. So you can see how they behave before you even build the actual robot. If you are interested in video game development, we have something called Amazon Lumberyard, which is a AAA game engine that is completely free. You can just get Lumberyard. There are no royalties. There are no seat fees. There's no subscription fees. We don't require you to share your revenue, for example. Just download it. It's open source. You can just build a game with it and off you go. Whoops. I keep pressing that button on my keyboard. So if you're also interested, for example, in quantum computing, right? And who isn't, right? So if you're interested in getting started with quantum computing, it's very difficult to get your hands on a real quantum computer. Try it. So if you want to get started on a quantum computing, Amazon Bracket is a service that allows you to simulate quantum code, your scripts meant for quantum computers, And then when you're ready, you can test them out. When you're ready, you can actually run them on the real quantum computers. So we manage a fleet of quantum computers from different vendors and different kinds of quantum computers. You can run them there if you want to test those out. And if, for example, you have a use case to talk to satellites. So, for example, if you're interested in doing weather, if you're interested in doing satellite imaging, it's going to be very, very restrictive if you want to build your own ground station. So you can use AWS Ground Station, which is a managed service that allows you to talk to satellites. That pretty much is just talk to satellites, get the data get the data return, process that, then send that over. So if, for example, if you're talking satellite imagery, you can get the satellite imagery from the satellites, process that, format that in any way you want, send that across to your website. Because you have a website that's filming satellite imagery, you can do that very, very easily on AWS. So point being, across a lot of different technology fields, there's bound to be a service or two or five or 10 that's going to be helpful for you, whatever you're trying to do. So suffice it to say that I've never found myself in a position wherein somebody was asking me, how do you do this? Because we want to do this, and I've run out of ideas. And that's the truth. So if I'm being very honest, I've never really run out of services that I can use on AWS. So there's a service on AWS for virtually any field of tech. I kind of think of this diagram here as, especially if you're just starting out on IT as a professional, some of the more kind of high level categories where you can maybe specialize yourself in. So maybe you may want to specialize in, say, virtual reality or augmented reality. You specialize yourself in security, SecOps, InfoSec, or specialize in being a blockchain developer, and so on and so forth, right? So there's different services all across that. So yeah, there are more than 200 services on AWS. All of those are available for your use when you create an AWS account. And we continuously improve on all of those 200 services. So I've never heard of a service on AWS being decommissioned, for example. We'll just continue on improving on top of it. And to drive that point a bit better, just in 2020, just last year, there has been a total of 2,757 new significant features and services that we rolled out on AWS. So if you do the math on that, and if my math is correct, that's about 7 or 8 every single day. So I'm not even joking. Whenever I talk to a customer for the very first time, I tell them that I start my day first and foremost by, getting a cup of coffee. And then the second thing I do is I take a look at what's changed while I was sleeping, because that happens all the time. We roll out new improvements, we roll out new services, we roll out new features, because we listen to what our customers are telling us. Our customers tell us that this is what they want, and then we work very, very hard to give that to them. So I'd like to spend the next few minutes. Hopefully, I'm not over time yet. The next few minutes just showing you some samples of stuff that I've actually done. So I told you I'm a prototyping engineer, right? So what I do is I create prototypes for different companies. Our customers come up to us. They have a problem. They want to build this. They don't know how to start, or they don't know how to do it. So one of the things I do is I build a prototype for them to show them that, hey, this is probably one way you can do it, right? So we try to solve that business problem for them. So we build a prototype, we give it to them, and then they go with it, right? So let me show you some of the things that I built just last year. So the first one is this for this company that manages a fleet of buses. So these buses, the problem is we have a limited number of buses, we have a limited number of drivers, we have to service a fixed number of routes, and then each of those routes, there's going to be a significant volume of passengers. Then there's traffic on different times of the day, and so on and so forth, right? So how do you schedule the buses, the drivers, the routes, so that it's optimal? The investment in gas, in maintenance, in repair is minimal, while still making sure that everybody gets service, right? So the way we did that was we built this system. We used something called batch processing, parallel batch processing. We essentially took a number of virtual machines. So all of those virtual machines, and then they'd work together to find an optimal scenario for whatever the use case is. So what happens is that every week on the weekend, on the midnight of the weekend, those virtual machines will turn on, work together. It'll take a few minutes, sometimes an hour, depending on the situation. And then together, they'll find an optimal scenario, and then they'll flush out this report. And then the report is going to be ready by the time everybody gets to work on the Monday. So this is a perfect example of that thing I was telling you about. You turn on something, you use it, and then you turn it off when you don't need it. Because this thing, the parallel batch processing part, it only turns on for like a few minutes on the weekend, and then it turns off. And then you don't pay for the computers while they're not running, right? You only pay for when they're running during the weekend. So all in all, this system, it allowed them to optimize their routing. It pretty much cost them around maybe $5-10 a month, right? So that's very, very significant. Something I really liked is this one right here. So this was a company in the Philippines. The problem was in your typical supermarket, you'd have many different aisles, supermarket aisles, right? Then you'd have so many different products, so many different brands, and all of these products and brands need to be placed at the exact right place, right? So this supermarket wanted to know when an optimal time for when they need to restock something. They needed to know that, hey, we're out of tomato sauce in aisle 17, right? And we also needed to know if somebody misplaced a product and put it in the wrong shelf, because sometimes people take something and then place it somewhere else. Please don't do that. So they wanted to do that. So they wanted to optimize that. So what we built was this system using a little bit of AI. So we took a webcam. So actually the same webcam that I'm using right now, we plugged it to a Raspberry Pi, just like this. So if you don't know what a Raspberry Pi is, it's just a credit card size computer, right? It's very small. And then we have those cameras. The idea is those cameras can be, held on by people that go down the shelves, that go down the aisles, or they can be mounted on the ceiling. And then they just keep on analyzing the shelves all the time. And then those webcams will be talking to each other and then analyzing that, hey, this product is not supposed to be there. Like in this example, in this image right here, you can clearly see that the Blue Moon beers right there are in the wrong place. So it looks like they're in the right place, but the cameras know better. So the cameras tell you automatically that, hey, the Blue Moons, they're not supposed to be there, right? Which is really nice. So this actually tells you that working on the cloud, you don't have to always be on the cloud. You can be, on devices just like this, on premises. So you can work with AWS services even when you're completely outside the cloud, for example. A very good example of that is this project I did for a company that created smart devices for hotels, hotel rooms. So if you've been in a hotel room before, there's a lot of smart devices inside. For example, the thermostat. The thermostat in hotel rooms actually do a large number of things, like measure the amount of electricity that's flowing through the hotel room. They can call the concierge for you, and so on and so forth, right? The problem with this is that if you had so many hotel rooms everywhere in the world and you had these very specialized smart devices, how do you install them? How do you update them? How do you maintain them? Do I have to send a technician to Dubai or the US or to Indonesia every time something is broken, right? So that's not very, very scalable, right? That's not very sustainable. So I actually have one of those thermostats here with me because I worked on this for quite some time. So inside one of those thermostats is one of these little things. So this is an ESP32. So what we've done with that is we've built it so that you can take that same thermostat right here, Anytime you need to install it or anytime you need to update the thermostat, you can just use a mobile app on your phone, pair it using Bluetooth, and then the phone will get the configuration for that exact device, for that exact hotel room, and then sync it with the machine, sync it with the device. So now you don't have to send a technician to some country, some location, just to service something. You can just ask the manager, the hotel manager, download this app. I'll give you a login credentials, and then the login credential would know exactly what configuration to use. And then it'll just sync that with the device, right? One last thing I did. This one was just something I finished the last week. Very apt right now because this is for a company in the Philippines as well. The problem is they maintain a lot of different site locations, and they want to know beforehand if something is likely to experience an outage because of a typhoon, for example. So they don't want to be able to prevent the outage, not so much. They want to know beforehand if an outage is going to occur so that they can, prepare all of the resources beforehand, all of the personnel, so that if the outage even happens, the outage time can be drastically reduced, right? So to do that, we also did a bit of AI. So we took in all of the weather forecasts for the next few days, paired that with the characteristics of each site. Like for this site, it's made of concrete. It's 30 meters above sea level. It has 10 towers of these and these heights. And then we created an AI model that was designed to figure out if it was likely to go down. And then we just put them on a map and so on and so forth. So now the system team, like for example here, they can clearly see that it looks like at that place we might have an outage. So we should prepare all our materials to address that, just in case it happens, right? So a lot of those are some examples of what you can build on AWS. I really hope some of those didn't sound too complicated. If you feel that it's complicated or that just going over your head, please don't feel that because everybody starts from square one, right? There will come a time as you continually improve and gain a fundamental understanding of what you can do on the cloud, that you can do so many awesome things, so many intelligent things. So until you do that, um, it'd be helpful if you can get your hands on some more learning resources, right? So the very first thing that you can do with AWS is when you create an AWS account, you're subject to the AWS free tier. So more information on what's free on AWS is on this link right here. So you can go there, see what's free, what you can use, and so on and so forth. Um, if you want to learn more about AWS services, different technologies, different industries, different technology fields, we have a lot of training material on AWS.training. The URL is very easy to remember. So that's also where you'd go to if you wanted to get AWS certified. So might as well check it out. Finally, if you want to see some more examples of how stuff are built, like how do you build something that does this? We manage a whole collection of example solutions over on this site right here. So it's just AWS at Amazon.com/solutions. And those are solutions that have been vetted and reviewed by AWS experts as well. Now, before I go, if there's only one thing you take from me today, I hope it's this. And especially for everyone who's just starting out, if you I really cannot understate just how important it is to find like-minded peers, like find people that have similar interests, people that do the same thing as you or very similar things. You learn so much and you can foster new friendships while you're doing that, right? So find a local tech community. You already know of ulap.org. Your different cloud providers will have user groups of their own as well, so like the AWS user group. But aside from that, if you don't know of any other technical communities, some of my recommendations will be these three. So DevCon Philippines, they're the Philippines' largest community of tech experts, developers and IT enthusiasts. Women Who Code Manila, Women Who Code inspires women and men to excel in technology careers. So even men can come join and volunteer for Women Who Code. So don't worry about that. And then Tambayan 404, is just a site. It's the Philippines' biggest Discord community for Filipino tech enthusiasts to just have fun and not take life too seriously. So if you want some of my recommendations, those three are probably going to be it, right? So find a local tech community, get to know some more people, take it from my 15 years of professional experience. That's going to be very invaluable. Growing your network, finding like-minded peers. So thank you for your time. If you'd like to connect with me, those are my handles right there. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or GitHub, or if you want to play some Dota, connect with me on Steam. Thank you for your time and have a good afternoon or evening.
Thank you so much, Sir Richard. Very, very, very wonderful line of services. Thank you so much for spending your Independence Day with us. We,
It's my pleasure.
in behalf of the Olap.org community, I'd like to thank you. All right. So if you have any questions again for introduction to Amazon Web Services or AWS, you can just put that on the live chat. Thank you, Sir Richard.
Thank you.
All right, so moving forward, we'll now proceed with the introduction to Alibaba Cloud. But before we proceed to introduce our next speaker, let's first watch this.
Are you ready for what lies ahead? Because we are going full throttle into a new digital norm, where it becomes the pulse of all future businesses, the lifeline of every economy, brains of cities, and heartbeat of enterprises. This pulse will unlock new modes and empower new ideas and innovation. Our heritage has already kept us ahead of what's next, even when the world paused. We never stopped. We never gave up. We went fast forward, ahead into the future, and became the digital metamorphosis that went beyond borders. The pulse of digital economy will elevate. The pulse of new business will accelerate. The pulse of new industries will ascend. Together, we will co-create the new world, because we are the pulse of digitalization.
All right, so our next speaker is a solutions architect of Alibaba Cloud Intelligence. He plays a vital role in the customer's cloud adoption journey and is a witness as to how technology, culture, and mindset all play important parts towards the digital transformation. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Clarence Pascua. Hi, Sir Clarence.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Hi, how are you today?
Hey, good, good. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. All right, so I don't want to take too much of your time. You can now, the floor is yours.
All right. Okay, let me see if I could get my sharing started. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Clarence Pascua. I'm a solutions architect for Alibaba Cloud Intelligence. I am based here in the Philippines, and I'm going to be introducing Alibaba Cloud for you guys. This will be around a 15-minute talk. And let me introduce myself a little bit. So, about 15 years in the industry. I've started in the actually in the networking space, where I work for a systems integrator, and I was actually supporting different different industries and customers in the here locally in the Philippines. And then I moved into a Fortune 500, where I did also some networking, application performance consulting. as well as some cloud engineering. And then before that, I joined Alibaba Cloud. And so today, as I mentioned, I'll be covering some introduction, and hopefully after this one, you'd be able to know more about our organization as well as some of our solutions. So for those of you who may not have heard, we actually started in 2009. So Alibaba Cloud is actually a part of the Alibaba Group, right? And we started in 2009, and the first application that we actually hosted in our platform is called Sheepdog, which is an internal loan application that was used within the Alibaba Group. The reason why, one of the reasons why we thought about developing our own cloud platform was that we were having some issues with scalability, and we've noticed that some of our partners or vendors were not able to cope up with the growth that we were experiencing. So we continue to work on our technology. We continue to work on, and continue to mature our platform. And when we were confident with it, because we have been using our own platform, right? We started to serve this into our first customers initially in China. And then we started in around 2014 to actually serve this to the international market. And in 2017, we actually became the cloud services provider, and as well as partner of the Olympic Games. And we continue to get more and more international and multinational companies into our platform, looking for our solutions. Especially those that are looking into expanding into the Asia as well as the China market. And we were able to support these needs or requirements of these businesses. And we've continued to grow and mature, and we've been growing our infrastructure for the past more than 10 years. And what we've seen, right, from our experiences is that we have grown from our humble beginnings to becoming one of the top cloud service providers in the world. We still see a lot of growth. We see that the cloud awareness, especially in the Philippines, right, is continuously increasing, right? We continue to invest in our infrastructure, in our technology. And so we are adding more data centers, more availability zones, so in strategic locations, so that we could continue to serve the market. And the technology also continues to mature because of the continuous innovation that is actually happening and is being supported. In the next 10 years, what we see is a more and more increase in digitalization. We are seeing that the more and more on-premises workloads will actually be moved. If they're not yet thinking about or planning about it, obviously because of the pandemic, all of those have actually been accelerated, right? So at the very least, people or all businesses have been talking about a cloud adoption program or accelerating their digital transformation. We have a lot of new technologies, right? Such as in the IoT space, and this is gonna be this is just continually gonna grow, and this is gonna be sending a lot of data, right? So where are you gonna find the computing power, the storage capacity to actually process all of those data that are coming from these different devices? The cloud would be a good option for you to be able to do that, and it provides you all of these different benefits such as elasticities, the scalability, the economies of scale, right? So to be able for you to do that efficiently, and also also lowering down your costs compared to the way that we used to do it traditionally. For Alibaba Group, we actually capture about 95% of the users in China, and how do we do that? Because we actually have a lot of our businesses within the Alibaba Group ecosystem because they are in different industries, such as in retail, obviously, and e-commerce, right? Where we have Taobao, Tmall, you both in online presence as well as offline presence, and you probably, I'm pretty sure you've heard of Lazada. That is actually part of the Alibaba Group. We also have consumers businesses in the consumer services as well as in the digital space. You probably heard about Ant Financial, which is our financial services and payment business. We have AMAP, which provides a mobile digital map. We have Alimama for marketing as well as a logistics business. So why am I speaking about this? Because all of this internal businesses, right, where we have actually operate in and we actually serve customers, not only in China, but also internationally. Um, at the bottom of this chart right here, of this picture, is actually Alibaba Cloud. And why is that over there? Because this is actually the technological backbone that supports these businesses. So it supports these businesses so that they can continue to innovate and provide better value to their customers. They continue to grow, and what's providing the technology that actually powers those businesses is Alibaba Cloud, and this is also actually the same services and platform that we actually provide to our customers, that our customers can also enjoy. So this slide would like to show you, our footprint, what we've been doing in terms of our infrastructure and data centers. So it shows you some of the locations, right, and of our regions to date. Yeah. From time to time, you may want to check this because this might change. We continually invest, but right now we have 24 regions globally. And there are 75 availability zones or data centers, and that means that those are data centers or buildings that have their own independent power, independent cooling, as well as independent networking, so that we eliminate those single points of failures. We'd like to highlight some of the technologies that we actually employ, or safeguards that we actually employ within these data centers or our infrastructure. We actually have deployed some water cooling in our data centers, which is this helps us with a more earth-friendly manner of maintaining operational efficiency for our infrastructure, for our servers, and also saves in terms of energy consumption. Our data centers are also highly secured and also complies with the data regulations on where we operate, as well as some of the industry regulations. We've also built redundant systems, right, as I mentioned. So we want to make sure that it is highly available, and we can eliminate those single points of failures. So Alibaba Cloud, we are actually considered as a global cloud service provider. We have regions in North America, in Europe, in Middle East, and obviously in Asia, because we are actually born in Asia, which is what you may see from other cloud services provider, right? Because they were born in the West, they kind of start, they have a lot of their regions over in the West, and then they grow from there to reach the other parts of the world. So for us, it's the same, right? We were born in Asia, so a lot of our regions are actually, you can find in the Asia, Southeast Asia Pacific region. And but we also understand that we need to expand our footprint to the other parts of the globe. So because of those investments in this region, that's very good for the Philippines, because it allows our customers in the Philippines and also in the region a lot of options on where to host their workloads, or which regions that they would like to choose. In terms of CDN, I would also mention that we have more than 2,800 CDN nodes globally. That's why we are considered as a global CDN provider. and this can help, right, with delivering content wherever an application may be hosted, right? Those CDNs can help you with delivering those contents, wherever the request may be coming from, in an efficient manner. So I mentioned about investments in infrastructure. So actually, just very recently, earlier this week, we announced that we will be opening an Alibaba Cloud region here in the country, in the Philippines. This was announced in our Alibaba Cloud Summit. And we believe that this region will help in accelerating the digital transformation of many of the businesses in the country, right? A lot have been hit by the pandemic in a negative manner. So we are looking at this as something that will aid in the recovery of these businesses and help accelerate their journeys into recovery. So since announcement, we've observed a lot of very good and positive feedback coming from the announcement, and we are very much looking forward to working with now more businesses, more of our customers as they go on their cloud adoption and digital transformation journeys. So we think that one of our key advantage is that we actually allow our customers to be able to deploy any of our available services in any of our global locations using a single account, and that includes also mainland China. So with the single account, you can access, you get access to all of our regions globally. Using the same console, you will be able to deploy resources, right? As well as connect your networking from whether that's from any of our regions in North America, in Europe, and even inside China, where that can sometimes be a problem. So we have a lot of expertise in those areas, especially if you're in a business or you're working for a business that's actually looking at expanding or your business or tapping the China market or expanding your operations in mainland China. So at this point, I'd like to show some highlights of our most recent Double 11 shopping festival. I'm sure you've heard about the Double 11, the Singles Day that actually happens on November 11th every year. So this is just a short video. I'll play it. I hope you guys can hear the audio. So this is actually a big global festival, right? And the technology that actually supports this scale of a festival, of an event, is actually Alibaba Cloud Technologies. So here are some numbers from that recent Double 11, right? We've actually reached around 74.1 billion in terms of GMV, US dollars. And this was achieved, right, with a lot of numbers that you see on the right. I won't go through all of them. But one thing that that I would like to highlight in the technologies perspective is that the peak that we saw in terms of orders per second is 583,000. So that's happening all in 1 second. That was the peak that we actually saw, and actually it was within the first hour of when the festival started. So in order to be able to support that kind of demand, you have to have a very good platform, very good technology that is able to scale and handle all of those traffic, and because of the demand, right? So we were able to achieve this, right, because of our technology. We were able to achieve this, with no incident or downtime, and just fixed volumes on the capability, right, of the technology that actually supports this massive event. And to put this in a better scale, probably, right, that 74 billion GMB US dollars is actually 3 times greater than Cyber Monday, Black Friday, and Thanksgiving combined, according to the sources. So customers that actually place their workload in Alibaba Cloud, they can be confident that the technology that they choose, or that the platform that they choose, is actually capable of handling these kinds of events, right? Um, so we believe in our infrastructure, right? We actually offer some of the best availability SLAs in the industries in terms of our ECS instance, or the common compute product for single instance availability as well as multi-instance availability. We also have a very good data durability for our object storage service. We can offer 12 nines. And the reason that we can achieve, or we can offer these kinds of SLAs, is because we understand and we have made some progress in terms of our technical innovation in looking at our infrastructure. So we understand that hardware will inevitably and statistically will fail, and sometimes it fails us on at the at times that the worst times, right? So we've made some studies and some predictive analysis, so that we know, or we can predict when a very high likelihood of a hardware will fail, and then we can put together preventive actions or mitigations, so that those things we can actually prevent from happening. Um, so I'd like to speak about some of our recognitions that we received from very recently from third-party independent third-party independent researchers. So actually, our function compute, which is a cloud-native serverless product, right? Which is event-driven and a fully managed compute service. We actually were recognized by Forrester as one of the leaders in this quadrant. Our own business uses this, such as Taobao, and in terms of performance and cost for the customers, they can enjoy when they use this. Typically, they enjoy a lot of a better performance. And since this only runs, right, this is event-driven. This doesn't run the whole time, right? It only runs when it is triggered. So it saves a lot of cost as well. And we take security very, very seriously. And according to Gartner, they've done a comparison for cloud service providers' native security capabilities. And we actually scored pretty well. We scored high in 11 of the criterions out of 24 across 7 security domains. And on the network security part, we were actually the CSP that was actually had the most highest number of the most high grades among the other that were assessed. So that's pretty good. So I'm almost at the end of my time. So again, we recently announced that we'll be opening up our cloud region in the Philippines. We're really excited to work with a lot of our customers and users. So please try it out. I have the campaign URL where you could see some of the benefits of having a cloud region in country. What does that mean for for people that would like to use the cloud? You will also see there some promos on some of the products and solutions that we have and we offer to our customers. So again, please feel free to check that out. And that's it. And I think at this point, I will be showing a customer success story to wrap up my time.
GCash is a cashless payments and financial services provider, as well as a digital life enabler, democratizing access to financial services like savings, credit, insurance, and investment. With the Philippines still having a largely unbanked population, we want to provide Filipinos with easy access to financial services to help make their everyday lives better.
We were operating on a legacy platform that we built ground up 15 years ago, before we adopted Alibaba's technologies. It was considered innovative at the time, and it was probably the peg for other e-money platforms that came after. Our on-premise infrastructure would not have been able to support the much larger aspirations of Gcash. It didn't help that we did have the right tools to monitor systems and quickly isolate problem areas. And that meant poor user experience for Gcash users and our partners. With a growing user base, we knew that a robust security infrastructure needed to be our priority, along with advanced analytics capabilities to gain better insights. Because of these Alibaba solutions, we now have the ability to scale infrastructure in real time to keep pace with customer growth while constantly improving our services. We're confident with the security measures in place, and we now have insights to better understand our customers and develop new solutions that meet their evolving needs. This has allowed us to support rapid innovations while keeping our operations stable.
GCash's business results was unparalleled in 2020. We surpassed the 1 trillion gross transaction value. GCash has become a lifeline to many Filipinos, especially during this pandemic. Filipinos have adopted GCash into their own new normal, making it part of their everyday lives. From 20 million plus registered users, it grew to more than 33 million by 2020. That's one in every three Filipinos using GCash.
If we didn't migrate when we did, we would have exceeded our capacity and transactions would have failed. And more than the revenue loss, it would have negatively impacted the public's trust in our services, especially those going digital for the first time.
GCash has always been one with the government's vision of creating a cashless society. In response to this, we are aiming to provide finance for all and make more Filipinos realize the benefits of digital payments and financial services. We credit Alibaba not only for providing us with their excellent platform, but also for the mentorship provided to our tech team. This has set us on the path of attaining our goal of finance for all. It is always our priority to find more ways to collaborate with Alibaba Cloud to create a GCash that will make Filipinos' lives better every day.
Great presentation. Thank you so much, Clarence. And very excited for the very first cloud region in the Philippines, correct? Looking forward to that. Thank you so much for being with us today and spending your Independence Day with us. We hope to invite you again next time.
Yes,
All
thank you
right.
for having me.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Clarence. Mr. Clarence Pascua for the introduction to Alibaba Cloud. All right. So now let's keep the ball rolling. Up next, introduction to Microsoft Azure. So our next speaker is the developer marketing manager of Microsoft Philippines. As one, he is responsible for driving the adoption of developer and IT pro communities across the Philippines. He works with partners and customers to write software code on Microsoft's latest technologies to find innovative technical solutions to address business needs. He also manages developer community engagements across the Philippines. And aside from that, he leads and executes events, workshops for Microsoft partners and customers. He also leads the modern marketing execution for IT Pro Dev events and ensures alignment with regional and HU directions. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ian De Torres. All right. So, Ian de Torres for introduction to Microsoft Azure. All right, so unfortunately, Ian won't be with us today because he's currently experiencing some outages or interruptions within his area. But he did send us a video of his talk.
To the
All right,
School
so
Up
let's
session, and
wait
today I'm
for
going to talk about the
him.
overview of Microsoft Azure. I'm Ian de Torres. I'm the Developer Marketing Manager at Microsoft Philippines. And today I'm going to give you an introduction to Microsoft Azure. And let me start with first on the statement around how we feel about Azure, and that's invent with purpose. And we want to invent with purpose in how we think about it and how we deliver to you, but also you enable you as well to invent with purpose. And we do that in some key ways. And let me share you some ways as our promise to you what Azure will always deliver and why do we help you? Why will it help you? So first is we're going to make sure that we have a technology that's meeting your needs today, but tomorrow, but also tomorrow. The cloud is actually moving fast. Every week, a new technology is coming out. So it's about meeting new capabilities now and investing in those on the horizon from IoT to AI to quantum computing. And ultimately, from a developer perspective, it's about being able to build on your own terms and with the frameworks, the tools, the open source softwares that you want to ensure you have that the freedom and the flexibility to be able to work successfully and be able to deploy your application with quality and confidence every time. So technology is actually sitting in the public cloud, sitting in the data center, sitting on edge devices, and all running in a holistic way in a seamless environment. That seamless environment is essential. Otherwise, running that way is going to be expensive and hard and insecure. And the last, of course, is trust. Nothing is more important than trust, particularly when you're talking about the cloud. And it's about security. Microsoft has actually spent $1 billion a year on cybersecurity, 3,500 cybersecurity engineers who are constantly monitoring your data for threats. Then there's compliance. Actually, we've said we have the highest number of compliance certifications around the world, and that is not easy. But that's because we have invested ahead of the curve. We will continue to, because that is a place of great pride, and we have a responsibility in the industry to serve the type of role. And then ultimately, it's about how we do business. But the question is that, are you going to compete with me? This may be something of you, something you might thinking right now, and our answer is no. And we are very clear. We are a technology company. We are a platform provider, and we want to empower you as a customer to innovate. We're not interested in going into your business, but rather we're interested in supporting your business. And that's the core of what we've done, and we've doubled down on the effort to move forward. So those are the promises you have as far as what Azure can offer and the products as you invest from being future ready to building your own terms on operating build it seamlessly and the cloud. With that, we feel fortunate to have over 95% of Fortune 500 companies inventing with Azure, and they are of all industries, as you can see here, from 3M to Coca-Cola to AT&T to Bank of America to Intel to Merck to UPS to Verizon, from retail to automotive to airlines, all doing really meaningful things. And we've actually have 61 Azure regions, more than AWS and Google combined. So from North Central US to Central America to Southeast Asia to Australia, and a lot more. So, moving on. Now, if you haven't looked at Azure in a few months, you may be surprised to see what we have these days. As you can see on the screen, this is the high level of, map of the class of services that we offer, and we have well over 200 products and services. You'll notice we've extended to the edge the ability to run application code in the cloud, but also in that seamless, consistent way in the edge is informing our edge investments, whether it be Azure Stack, Azure Sphere, all the way to the HoloLens and our mixed reality capabilities. These are powerful edge devices that work in connection with the cloud. You'll see we have developer tools as well, DevOps, and great innovation to the core infrastructure and PaaS services that we offer. And overall, this gives you the scope of what Azure as a platform and a service that can do for you. So now you might be thinking of all of these capabilities and services are great, but how should I think about them when it comes to my business or when it comes to your uh, advantage? I want to share a typical path our customers would take when moving to the cloud. First step is actually migration. The common practice that we see from our customers is first migrating their workloads from on-premises to the cloud, taking VMs and moving them to the cloud with no charge, with no change, which we call a typical lift and shift motion. And given the current times, cloud adoption can really help our customers realize benefits such as agility, security, and the agility within their organization. Second is innovate. The next step is around innovating and building or modernizing your applications on a PaaS platform. This is where you could use containers to provide better efficiency and speed compared to VMs. You have to keep in mind, given the customers are in a very different situation than before, they still need a lot of customers needs innovation. It will need to be rapid time to value type innovation, but nonetheless, it is still essential. Now, as you move into the PaaS platform, you not only can become more efficient, but you can innovate faster and deploy your products to market faster. We actually have a variety of offerings from for our PaaS platform. But what truly differentiates us is through our Power App services. This actually provides a self-service option to build apps with no code, which means enabling anyone to build applications on their own terms. Again, we meet you where you are. So now that we've laid out common paths for using Azure, I'd like to walk you through our promise of being future ready. Azure can help you innovate today, tomorrow, and in the future. And we are constantly evolving our products and services to help meet your needs. And given the pace of innovation, we look forward to ensure we're investing in the technology that meets your needs. For future investment, we think about the features and capabilities that should become available. So within quantum, today, we offer quantum services ranging from pre-built solutions to software and quantum hardware that provides developers and customers access to some of the most competitive quantum offerings on the market. If we look to the future, customers like you will be able to swipe a credit card for quantum services. And we're constantly partnering with engineering to push the technology envelope so we can get there in the future. On the horizon too now, you see AI and mixed reality capabilities. Today, we offer many features and capabilities across AI and MR, but are always striving to build more in the future. Machine learning, knowledge mining, apps and agents, and HoloLens capabilities. We're constantly working to advance technology so we build services that meets your needs today and in the future. And last is the Horizon One, where we evolve products and services like IoT, which to become available sooner and faster based on customer needs. Today, we actually invested $5 billion in IoT to add new services and features for customers based on the needs and the pace of innovation. And as we look at this innovation approach, these horizons, we look at them in cycles. At Horizon 1, we've seen the customer demand increased. So we invested in engineering and sales to ensure we're building the product service in need. We also ensure we have the right sales and marketing folks who are able to share it with you. At Horizon 2, we're starting the investment cycle. And at Horizon 3, we see it coming and plan. So as I mentioned earlier, the cloud is actually moving fast, and the pace of innovation continues to increase. So we're constantly staying ahead of the curve to ensure we're meeting your needs today, tomorrow, and in the future. So, so like I said, the cloud is moving fast, and over the past year, we have launched over 1,000 capabilities across AI to blockchain, and to Kubernetes, to containers, and databases, and to more to ensure we're keeping you ahead of the curve. I've just walked you through a few ones that are very exciting, and we're built and delivered to ensure we are meeting you where you are. So let's now proceed with the infrastructure, data, and analytics and app dev capabilities. So on this slide, I'd like to highlight a few things on this slide. First one is that Azure offers purpose-built infrastructure, wherein it allows you to customize your infrastructure based on your specific workload needs, regardless of whether you are managing on-prem, on hybrid, or cloud-only infrastructures. We are actually differentiated from our competitors by offering a first-class experience that has been recognized by partner certifications such as SAP and Red Hat. Now let's talk about scale. We are global with the support of 61 Azure regions and 150 VM size options. Given Microsoft makes Windows Server, there is no better place to run Windows platforms than on Windows Server. They were quite literally made for each other, but we don't stop at Windows. 50% of Azure VMs are running on Linux, which is why Microsoft has established relationships with big Linux providers. In fact, Microsoft is doing something in the industry that has never seen before. So we've developed an integrated support with Red Hat support sitting with our support teams in Redmond. And lastly, we have partnerships with SAP, VMware, and Oracle that allows us to migrate all of your data center. Our goal is actually to enable you to mission critical workloads in Azure itself, so you can have the best of all worlds. So now let's talk about on the IS side. We have actually two primary offers. First, we offer a pricing benefit if you have licenses with software assurance, which helps maximize the value of existing on-prem Windows Server or SQL Server license investments when migrating to Azure. So customers can now save up to 50% on Azure VMs. And secondly, we offer free extended security updates only on Azure. This actually enables you to move your Windows Server or SQL Server 2008 and 2008 R2 workloads to Azure and get 3 additional years of security updates for free. So with these two benefits, AWS is 5 times more expensive than Azure on Windows Server and SQL Server. And to support your apps and infrastructure, we have actually a breadth of data and analytics offerings. We offer a broad of set of data services that can help store your data or distribute it based on your needs. From our relational databases like SQL databases, you can run it on VMs, or you can get SQL database managed instance, or PostgreSQL to our non-relational databases like Cosmos DB. So Azure SQL Database is actually a relational database as a service based on the latest stable version of the Microsoft SQL Server database engine. SQL Database is actually a high performance, a reliable, a fully managed and secure database wherein you can use it to build data-driven applications and websites with the inner programming language of your choice without needing to manage infrastructure. With Azure Cosmos DB, as you can see, we have MongoDB, and a lot more databases. So now we've taken the industry leading data warehouse to a whole new level of performance and capabilities by bringing together data warehouse and big data with the Azure Synapse Analytics. The Azure Synapse. Azure Synapse actually is a limitless analytics services that brings together enterprise data warehousing and big data analytics. It actually gives you the freedom to query data on your terms and using either serverless, on-demand, or provisions resources at scale. As you can see on the slide, Azure Synapse brings these two worlds together with a unified experience to ingest, prepare, manage, and serve data for immediate BI or and machine learning needs. So it helps you provide a single analytics that integrates the management, security, and monitoring of data into an easy use unified environment. So as you can see on the slide, the features described are currently in preview, but all customers are using it for data warehousing, for so they can have the peace of mind of that when they go generally available, then they will have a single platform for all of their analytics. To be clear, the data warehousing features of Azure Synapse, such as provision compute, intelligent workloads management, and fine-grained access control for security and privacy are all generally available today. So businesses can continue running their existing data warehouse workloads in production today with Azure Synapse Analytics, where it could really help automatically benefit from the new capabilities which are in preview. But businesses can now put their data to work much more quickly, productively, and securely, pulling together the insights from all data sources, data warehouses, and big data analytics systems. So now that we've talked data and analytics, I want to walk you through our serverless capabilities, as you can see on the slide. So this capabilities actually enable you to adopt containerized serverless-based computing architectures for new applications, as well as modernizing existing apps you already have. And with Azure, your developers can build cloud native applications using canonical modern application patterns. And the requirements of our modern and digital business world can be a challenge for older applications, but there is a way of to future-proof existing applications by moving them to the cloud. Azure supports and provides all the building blocks that your developer teams need to build applications using containers, managed databases, artificial intelligence, as well as serverless capabilities. The beauty of these services is you can use a combination of them all to meet your business needs. Because again, we meet you where you are. So moving on, not only we do have 1,000 capabilities that we've launched in the past year for IoT, but we've deployed 1,000 plus supported IoT devices as well. So right now, Azure is the undisputed leader in Internet of Things when it comes to the cloud, and we've been investing over $5 million in our IoT ecosystem, from products to our partner ecosystem. We're currently working closely with our partners to ensure they give you the device insights you need so you can transform your business. So there are thousands of Azure IoT customers out there across many industries. And from Rolls-Royce with jet fuel efficiency to figure out how to help airlines to operate at the best cost possible, to Starbucks, think about predictive maintenance on equipment that will really help partners in the store and ensure the customer has a fantastic experience and a cup of coffee. So as you can see on the slide, that's the thousand of Azure IoT customers that we have right now. And one business that I wanted to highlight is that who adopted IoT to help really improve their oyster farms and their customers' experience is the yield. So There is actually has been an increase of virus that has proved devastating for some oyster farmers. And on one of the state's oyster farms, they saw a 70% of its harvest was wiped out due to this virus. And so to help manage the risk of this virus wiping out their supply of oysters, they need to monitor the amount of rainfall and other environmental factors that could land contaminants in oysters. So what does the yield did? So the yield deployed a system that uses an estuary sensors, cloud computing, and machine learnings to offer a much better outcome for oyster farmers, which should ensure tasty oysters are back on people plates more often. So these data is then relayed via Intel Gateway and to Bosch process software with ease ingested into the national weather data. So that's the yield technology. So moving on is built on norms. From a developer perspective, we want to provide the flexibility needed to deploy apps on the frameworks, open source softwares, and the tools you want with quality every time. So when we say we build on your own terms, we think about accelerating developer velocity, which means focusing on helping developers build productively, enabling secure collaboration within the team to organize a wider global community of developers, and scaling your innovation, where by helping developers empower your entire organization to participate in a digital value generation. So we see this through the evolution of software development, where it continues to evolve, and Microsoft has been there for a long time, enabling developers first. Developers are in our DNA and a top of mind since the earliest days of the company. So we've always known that the developers are the key to our success as a platform company. And as a software development that has changed over the years, we have always supported developers building applications. So as new frontiers open up, Microsoft will always be there. So, and as technology rapidly evolves and changes, you need to help your developer teams learn new skills and stay on top of emerging technologies such as Kubernetes, AI, DevOps, and IoT. So, and with our commitment to open source and support for all the languages and frameworks and art tools, your developers can now build how they want and deploy where you want to. So let's now talk about, let me share with you the dev tools we offer like Visual Studio, the GitHub, and our Power Apps capabilities. So when it comes to building our productively, there are two areas of opportunity where Microsoft can help. First is ensuring developers become and stay proficient in their own domain by helping them advance their knowledge. And second, hone the right skills by giving them the right tools. So our mission is actually with Visual Studio is to provide the best in class tools for every developer. So with Visual Studio and Visual Studio for Mac, we enable those developers who want full IDEs. And with this Visual Studio Code, we support developers who want a lightweight, a code optimized editor. But we're not stopping here. Software development is actually a constantly evolving craft, and developer tools need to reflect the changes in the modern development workflows. So we have a Visual Studio, an AI-assisted development within Telecode, wherein you collaborate with LiveShare and GitHub integration, and a cloud-hosted and managed development environments with Visual Studio Online. So that's the Visual Studio Online was also announced during Ignite and Build as well, which is that you could generally available right now. Now it's about collaborate globally and securely. Software development is a team sport. Collaboration with peers and knowledge Sharing within the team is fundamental, and breaking down barriers between development and operations is essential. But there is also a wealth of organizational knowledge outside of the core product team that can be tapped. So it doesn't stop at Visual Studio. So we have the GitHub, where it is the largest developer community on the planet. And GitHub is the heart of the open source community and will always be an open platform that supports all developers. And in fact, GitHub today is the largest developer community on the planet with over 40 million developers from every country on earth. Collaboration is the heart of GitHub. Last year, developers made over 1 billion contributions to the open source projects and private repos that are hosted on GitHub. That's where they collaborate, and that's where their source code is. That's where they do continuous integration. So, and GitHub is actually uniquely positioned to help your organization to take advantage of these trends. And through empowering collaboration internally with some called inner sourcing and with the open source community, you can both retain and attract the best talent and take advantage of the work and talent available in the open source community. And this can be done securely. GitHub is the only platform that takes an end-to-end view of security from open source project to deployed code. And last is it GitHub powers planet scale DevOps for the open source community. We can bring that to power your themes, enabling community powered workflow automation, regardless of your tools, preferred languages, or hosting environment. With that, GitHub can help reduce the transactional cost of software development while accelerating the pace of innovation within your organization. And speaking of innovation, it's really more of skill innovation, where sparking innovation for customer experiences of and line of business applications is the top of mind for every business leader. Whether you're a company, whether your company is building web or mobile or IoT or mixed reality experiences, innovation is really a key to the future success of your organization. And to scale innovation, organizations need to focus on packaging and shipping their unique business value as composable services. And this way, partners and employees can participate in the shared value generation easily and efficient. And with Microsoft Azure, we get security from the ground up, backed by a team of experts and proactive compliance trusted by enterprises, governments, and startups. So as for the Azure Kubernetes service, this is actually the fastest growing compute service in Azure history, and we've announced new innovations that enhance developer productivity, reliability, and scalability. So from fully managed Kubernetes orchestration, from auto patching to auto scaling to auto updates, and even the full ecosystem of the AKS. With AKS, Kubernetes adoption on Azure continues to grow rapidly, and AKS is actually the fastest. Like I said, it is the fastest growing Azure compute service. So as you can see on the slide, these are the customers who are currently using the Azure Kubernetes service, from EY to Bosch to Finastra to Shell to Warren to Whitesource to Xerox to Sutetsu and a lot more. Now, on the third one, on our promise with Microsoft is Azure is really to operate hybrid seamlessly. We believed it in hybrid. We believe in hybrid, and we're investing in hybrid, and we're the only company to have a truly consistent hybrid experience. Why? It's because enterprises rely on a hybrid approach to benefit from their own premises investment, and at the same time unlock the innovation of the cloud. And as more businesses expand computing to the edge, hybrid capabilities that must enable apps to not only run seamlessly across on-premises service, public clouds, and edge devices, but also enable consistent management, security, and governance across all distributed locations. So let us look now further into our hybrid solutions. Um, Azure takes a comprehensive approach and offers unique hybrid capabilities that give customers the flexibility to innovate anywhere in the environment. As you can see on the slide, enabled by Azure Arc, you can bring Azure services to any existing infrastructure, including other clouds you are using. So you can take advantage of cloud benefits everywhere, such as scalability, fast deployment, and always up-to-date cloud innovation. And you can also build Azure consistent new cloud infrastructure in your own data center with Azure Stack. So, so you can modernize your data center and run cloud native applications on premises while taking advantage of existing investments and meeting regulatory compliances. And you can do it all using Azure Arc as the single control plane to seamlessly manage and secure your IT resources, such as Linux or Windows VMs and Kubernetes clusters across multi-cloud, on-premises, and the edge. So let me take you a deeper look at the three hero hybrid offerings from Azure Arc to Azure Stack and the Azure IoT. Today, you might be targeting multi-clouds, multiple clouds already, and you may have your own premise from data center, and you have edge deployments. The truth is, as businesses expand to the edge, where you're going to need even more of these types of solutions, and you might be in case where you have multiple types of technology that you're having pulled together, which makes it even harder to ensure it's secure and managed in a consistent way. That is why we introduce the Azure Arc. Like I said earlier, Azure Arc is a set of technologies that unlock new hybrid scenarios by bringing Azure services and management to any infrastructure. And second is the Azure Stack portfolio. It is the Azure Stack is actually a portfolio of products that extend Azure services and capabilities to your environment of choice, from the data center to edge locations and remote offices. As you can see on the slide, the portfolio enables hybrid and edge computing applications to be built, deployed, and run consistently across location boundaries, providing choice and flexibility to address your diverse workload. And that is the Azure IoT. So we actually designed the Azure IoT portfolio in a layered fashion on purpose. It means that you can engage the portfolio on purpose where it makes sense. For example, you can start off with the infrastructure and move up and leverage things like time series insights at the PaaS layer. Or I can go in, or you can go into a fully managed SaaS services. And the cool thing is that if you are in the SaaS solution and you need to drop down to the PaaS mode and add more power or compute, you just need to add AI of your own, and you can absolutely do that and no rewrite your asset. We have finally released enterprise ready industry solutions where Azure IoT not only puts your organization in position for evolution and with improved efficiency and improved margins, but with advanced uh, analytics and AI. Azure IoT actually puts your organization in position for revolution to disrupt and create new revenue streams and stay ahead of the pack. So as you can see on the slide, these are the Azure IoT certified devices. These are 1,000 uh, Azure IoT certified devices. And with that, with Microsoft Azure, we actually have two primary offers. First is we offer a pricing benefit, wherein if you have licenses with software assurance, which helps maximize the value of your existing on-prem Windows Server or SQL Server license investments when migrating to Azure. Right now, customers can save up to 50% on Azure VMs. And secondly, we offer free extended security updates only on Azure. And this enables you to move your Windows Server or SQL Server 2008 and 2008 R2 workloads to Azure and get 3 additional years of security updates for free. And with these two benefits, actually AWS is 5 times more expensive than Azure on Windows Server and SQL Server. So, and last but not least, with our promise with Microsoft Azure and the introduction with this one is that about trust. Our customers should fully trust the cloud they choose to bank on their business. And we drive to provide the most secure and compliant cloud platform with the privacy at the center of all our innovations. We have the most certifications in the cloud, and from managing identity across the paradigms to building apps that can run across them. And to highlight a few points on this slide, as I've mentioned before, Microsoft is global, and we support 61 Azure regions around the world, fastest and most resilient global network in the public cloud, and more than 160 edge sites targeting sub 30 ms latency across the planet, and only cloud provider enabling customer to extend private connectivity to remote or hard to reach areas with express route satellite. And last is Azure enables on-premises connectivity across a global one and with express route global reach. And with that, we want you to feel protected, so we heavily invest in security. And lastly, we have 92 compliance offerings from certifications to the laws we abide by, like the GDPR, and for the Philippines, the BPA. And yep, that's the end of my presentation. And once again, thank you for listening to my session about the Microsoft Azure overview. I'm Ian De Torres. I'm the developer marketing lead at Microsoft. Uh, Thank you for joining us for this session and have a great day ahead.
All right. So again, thank you so much, Mr. Ian De Torres, for introduction to Microsoft Azure. Okay, we're going a little beyond the time, but we still have one more speaker to go. We have our next speaker for introduction to Google Cloud. He is a co-founder and CEO of 98 Labs, and together with his team, they aim to empower businesses to create and design the transformative digital products and services. Outside of work, pre-pandemic, Brian spends time outdoors hiking and joining trail runs. He likes reading about psychology, management, and leadership. As a co-organizer of the GDG Cloud Manila, he is passionate about helping engineers develop and make the most out of cloud native systems and infrastructure on Google Cloud. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Brian Tan Seng.
Hello.
All right. Hi, Sir Brian.
Kamusta? Ano na? How are
Yes,
we doing this time?
actually, yes, very, very sorry about that. But yes, I'll give the floor to you now so that you won't take any more of your time.
Yes, sure, sure. So, thank you for having me. So, ano naman? Okay naman ba yung audio? Yes. So, sige. I'm Brian, and unlike I'm a community organizer of GDG Cloud Manila. So, we are parang volunteers, like sa ulap, we are also volunteers. We are not getting paid. We are not part of Google, but we also help communities. We build communities, learn about cloud, and of course, syempre yung Google Cloud, yung mga products and services ni Google for cloud. So what are we going to cover for today? Bibilisan ko lang kasi I'll just show you parang a platform overview. This will not be parang definitive and exhaustive. Daanan lang natin. Let's see what's out there. The next topic is why Google Cloud, what sets it apart. Maraming choices di ba? So, bakit nga Google Cloud? Ako, I listed down parang my top reasons why we should choose Google Cloud. But ano rin naman, I'm not a Google employee. I also use other clouds actually. So I use AWS in my work. I use Google Cloud in my work and all that. And then of course, I'll give a short introduction on our community, GDG Cloud Manila. So we are the community for Google Cloud in the Philippines. So maraming GDG chapters, city chapters, and we are one of the chapters that focus on the cloud aspect. So sige, daanan na lang natin. There are in Google Cloud Platform, marami ring just like the others, we have a lot of categories, a lot of parang services, but we can break it down to parang compute, networking, storage. Tapos may special, yung unang tatlo na yan, parang these are the parang core na na services ng uy, kailangan ko ng compute, 'di ba? Kailangan ko ng you're a computer scientist, you're a developer, you want to build something, you want to build an app, you want to build a program. So ito yung mga kailangan mong tatlo, 'di ba? Compute power, tapos networking if you want to connect one system to another, and then of course you want to save your data, ilalagay mo as files, as objects, as sa database. But these other categories will daan na lang natin. Syempre si Google very strong siya sa AI kasi Google has been an AI first company. So parang yung AI kasama siya sa mga lahat ng products niya. Big data, marami rin siyang products on data analysis, and then of course security and identity. So daanan lang natin yung mga product icons. So sige. So ito compute, marami kang options. If you tuned in kaninang yung first speaker, inintroduce niya yung 'di ba? May mga PaaS, may maraming options. So ito, yung cloud functions will enable you to upload parang yung function lang. So yun yung cool dito. Yung core parang compute na service niya is yung compute engine. Tapos nung unang tapos ito namang app engine, ito yung PaaS service ni Google. So dati kapag may Node developer ka, ayaw mo nang may Node program ka or may Java program ka or may PHP program or Python kung anong developer ka, gusto mo lang i-upload yung program mo to the cloud. So ito yung gagamitin. Kung kailangan mo na mag-spin up ng parang computer ng isang machine, virtual machine sa cloud sa Google, it will be compute engine. So that daan na lang natin mabilis. So itong data analytics, ito yung isa sa pinaka-strong na product ni is yung BigQuery. So this is the product that you would use if you want to do parang analytics, you want a data warehouse na sobrang mura and sobrang bilis. It could handle petabytes levels of data, dito tayo. And ngayon, para syempre, there are lots of tools out there that dito, that PubSub, Data Lab, Data Flow, these are parang mga other tools that you can use for in terms of with uh, parang related to the data analytics. Ayan, syempre marami rin siyang tools and APIs for machine learning and AI. Marami rin ditong tools actually gagamitin mo na lang. Kunwari, gusto mo ng you want to determine, pwede ka mag-upload ng picture, you want to know if it's an apple, it's an orange, or etong Google Cloud Vision API yung gagamitin mo. You want to translate text to speech, ayan, ito. And ayan, text to speech and speech to text. Actually, may tools din siya na magpapakain ka ng text, magsasalita siya ng. Maganda na nga yung Tagalog niya, pronunciation niya. And then of course, you can build your own mga machine learning model. Marami silang tools out there. Iba-ibang levels ng iba-iba yung level of expertise mo for machine learning and AI. There's a product for you. If you're a beginner, you can integrate AI parang products and APIs into your application. But if you're parang a researcher, you want to build your own machine learning models, there are tools for you. Yeah. So ito, sangkatutak. We will not go through each one of them, but it exists. Ito siya. Management tools, syempre, mga you want to after you set up your environment, you set up your infrastructure, you want to monitor your infrastructure, you want to know that it's healthy. So marami siyang tools for you. So to determine and manage yung health ng infrastructure mo. So usually dito yung mga stack driver, trace, so you want to trace ano yung naging error sa program mo, you want to use this product. You want to know yung logs, ano yung nangyari sa program, and you write logs. Cloud logging, ito yung gagamitin. So networking, of course, it's one of the key parang infrastructure sa cloud. There are you want to set up mga load balancers, you want to set up mga your own network. So meron siyang ito mga basic dito is yung Cloud VPN. When you set up a project in Google Cloud, it will have a default parang network. So siya, and meron siyang mga set of IP addresses and all that. So kung ito naman, Cloud CDN, this is a product that you would use if you want to distribute your mga static files mo. Kunwari, gumawa ka ng website, tapos you want to, may mga static files siya. So you can use this Cloud CDN product so that parang ilalapit mo yung files mo doon sa users mo. Ikakalat niya yung files mo to different parang zones, to different regions all across the globe. So yan. So parang so yung users mo na malapit sa Europe, okay, naka-deploy yung mga files mo malapit sa Europe. Yung users mo sa Asia, same thing. Maliit lang low latency lang. So there are lots of parang products for networking. And developer tools, API management, daan na lang natin na mabilis. Ayan. And then of course, meron din siyang pang IoT, and then databases. You have lots of options for databases. May yung Cloud SQL, if you use MySQL, if you use even yung Postgres, ito yung mga open source databases. Ito yung parang version nung ni Google Cloud for you. Actually meron din siya yung SQL developer, SQL server ni if you're using that for Microsoft SQL Server, meron may option ka rin to deploy your SQL Server on Google Cloud. And then maraming options, file store, memory store, ito in-memory database, usually ito, if you are familiar with yung mga parang Redis, so yung mga key value pair type of databases, ayan. There's an option for you here. Kung gusto mo na globally consistent yung data mo, pang malakihan na, you can use itong Cloud Spanner, rin siya, relational database. So maraming options. We can explore these, feel free to explore these options in your storage, mga file storage. Ito, kung yung sa AWS, gumagamit tayo ng S3, sa Google Cloud, ang niya is yung cloud storage. So dito, very similar, gagawa ka rin ng bucket, ilalagay mo yung mga files mo doon, and all that. So may databases, you can store files and all that stuff. Security, we have lots of products for security as well. Yeah. Key management system, if you want to manage yung mga yung mga encryption keys na pwedeng mag-i-interact to sa program mo. And meron siyang mga rotation ng keys, may mga parang schedule siya ng na nag-iiba-iba yung keys, and it will make it easy for you to secure your apps. Maraming tools. So why Google Cloud? Sige. Ayan, why Google Cloud? So one of the this is let's hear it from a customer. One of the customer, Kinsta, kung mahilig kayo sa WordPress, si Kinsta is a provider of managed WordPress on GCP. Marami siyang points na ni-raise kung bakit nila pinili si Google Cloud. But for me, syempre, one of the, ito yung parang top reasons ko, it powers, parang siya yung pinakamaraming apps that powers 1 billion plus users. So, syempre, Google Search. Everybody's, very helpful, very useful. Google Search. Maps, YouTube daw, it's like the second largest search engine. Diba? Hindi lang siya pang video. Parang if you want to learn something na medyo mas visual ka, syempre, YouTube. And marami rin kumikita dyan sa YouTube. Gmail, syempre, one of the earliest parang offerings ng syempre, G Suite, yung mga mga office products niya. And of course, for mobile apps, we have Android and then Google Play. So lahat yan, siya, more than 1 billion users. And the infrastructure behind all of this 1 billion user apps is Google Cloud. So medyo assured ka na kakayanin niya yung yung scale. Isang gusto ko rin sa kanya is yung better pricing. So ito ang source nito si Kinsta. So nagawa siya ng computation. So siya, medyo mas mura siya talaga. So ito 1,700 per month yung on demand niya. So dito pumapatak 4,470 lang in comparison. So Azure naman 1,600 pumapatak na parang 500 given the same parang infrastructure. So medyo may kamurahan. So yeah. So that's nice. Another nice parang why we should use, or why it sets why is Google parang cloud parang unique is that meron siyang meron siyang sariling network, meron siyang sariling cables. So itong mga parang private global fiber network all throughout the world. Hindi siya nakikigamit ng internet. So siya meron siyang parang sariling private network na high speed. So assured ka sa sa network parang latency. Maganda yung latency niya kasi hindi siya sineshare sa ibang user. So yan. So that's another parang plus points kung bakit maganda si Google Cloud. Open source, ito personal favorite ko to. Very si Google has been a contributor at saka yung mga research niya at saka meron siyang hindi lang siya nagko-contribute, rin siya. Yeah, well, yung mga products na nabubuo sa loob ni Google, nailabas din as contributions to the community. So Google loves parang open source, and two of the products na or projects na nabuo na very widely used by the industry, ito si Kubernetes. So pag marinig natin kanina, 'di ba, lahat ng cloud providers actually nag-o-offer in one way or another ng Kubernetes na backed services. Yung si Kubernetes, nanggaling siya kay Google na isa siyang project ni Google na yun yung infrastructure niya, parang may project siya na ang pangalan Borg. Tapos this is their parang ito yung research, ito yung product that help scale parang yung Google's infrastructure. At shinare niya sa community yan. Ayan. At ngayon, lahat ng cloud providers gumagamit ng Kubernetes. So that's very cool. So hindi lang siya nagko-contribute siya sa community. Another application is yung TensorFlow. It's another very widely used platform for for AI. If you are an AI researcher, yeah, please take a look at TensorFlow. So another parang why na siya parang since 2006 yata. Sorry, maingay yung mga dogs. Google Cloud is already carbon neutral. Many years na. So yung environment, care for the environment. Part na siya nung Google Cloud from the very start. And now it is aiming for a carbon-free energy, parang yung magiging energy source niya will be carbon-free. Yun yung goals niya by 2030. So I'll just yun yung mga top reasons ko why Google Cloud is parang up there, or yung differentiators niya. And I'll just parang walk you through to our community naman. Ang pangalan ng community namin is GDG Cloud Manila. We do activities namin, we do free workshops. Nag-aaral kami, we do hands-on exercises. Ang tawag namin sa activities na to, yung mga study jams where we play around with we introduce professionals, even students with yung mga cloud concepts. And then of course, yung Google Cloud mga tools and applications and services. So yan, ito yung kapag if you join our parang mga meetups, there are we give you parang credits to this tool. Ito yung tool where you can parang play around with Google Cloud. Dito you spin up real servers. So example ng mga topics, ayan, essentials, mga Google Cloud architecture, security, Kubernetes in Google Cloud, ayan, mga Kubernetes topics, deploying applications. Ito naman mga topics on mga machine learning and data sciences. So ayan, we do these we cover these topics. Ayan. So if you're interested, please ayan, short plug, allow us to join us on our we're on Facebook, join our community where we discuss Google Cloud topics. Yan, GDG Cloud Manila. And then if you're interested to try out, please yan, ito yung visit this link, cloud.google.com/free, and you will be introduced to the many free services and tools where you can play around and get yourself acquainted with the various cloud services that Google offers. Ayan. So that's it. Mabilis lang. So thank you very much.
All right. So thank you so much, Sir Brian. Apologies for the camera since I am reserving any data that I have left. But thank you so much for being with us today and spending your Independence Day with the ulap.org team.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Sir Brian.
All right.
All right. So, again, thank you so much for being with us today for the introduction to cloud computing and cross cloud events. We went a little beyond our time, supposedly for today, but we thank you for staying. Join us in building an inclusive tech community with equal opportunity for all. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. For inquiries, please email us through info@ulap.org. Motivate, prepare, and guide. Again, I'm Kaloy Carino Griarte, and this has been the introduction to cloud computing and cross cloud events. See you again next time, everybody. Thank you so much.